What's up everyone, welcome back to another video with JB and Millie.
Hi guys.
So today we are going to be reviewing the Among Us port for the Nintendo Switch. Now Among Us is a hugely popular game developed by Innersloth, and it's one that really needs no introduction. It of course was the kind of successor for Fall Guys in many of the public's eyes, becoming I guess the most popular or the most trending game for streamers, for gameplay, and just players in general. I know that we've been loving it so much.
I mean, it is amazing.
And so we have discussed the game before, maybe not necessarily on the channel as much, although we did make some speed builds, but this review is purely going to be what we see for the Nintendo Switch. So if you do want an in-depth review of the Steam game or the mobile game, maybe we'll do them at some stage if there's a huge demand for it, but right now, because we are a Nintendo Switch channel, this is going to be for the Nintendo Switch. So I guess initial impressions was I was very surprised that they announced this so soon, because really,
yeah, I wasn't ready for this.
It just dropped. I think there was independent Nintendo Direct and they just released it at the end, like Among Us will come out on Nintendo Switch later today. So I have to give the developers huge credit for getting this out so quickly. Of course the game's quite old now, if that makes sense. I think it's been out a few months, at least in the main eye. Of course it was developed for quite a few years prior, but in terms of popularity it's been in the public eye for a few months now, which is just incredible how they've turned this around. Like, I am so impressed, and we have played so many hours of this, Millie less so, but I have managed to fully sink my teeth into the different mechanics, how it runs and everything. So first of all, I'm going to start off with the good. So the things that I absolutely love about this is that it is cross-platform. So you guys know their names from our videos. We love playing with Annalise, with Scurvy Dog, with Tifa Horror. All of those awesome people we love playing with, and it's absolutely amazing to think that Millie and I could play on the Switch, while Scurvy played on their phone, and Tifa played on Steam. Like, that to me is just incredible. Now of course there are downsides to this, but we're going to get onto them a bit later, but I think that cross-platform segment is amazing, because I think it would be a bit goofy if it was just Nintendo Switch players. I mean, Millie, what's your mindset on the fact that we can pretty much play with anyone that owns the game?
I mean, I think it's amazing because, I don't know, I feel like the Switch offers a few different mechanics perhaps that I personally was struggling with on my phone. So for example, I'm not really a computer player, so the only option for me was to have it on my phone. But just things like movement, having to use that toggle, my thumb often slipped off and so I'd look suspicious when I was running and that sort of thing. So I'm just happy to see kind of a new dynamic to it. And I'm personally, so I'm running around now as we're recording this, and I'm finding the movement and everything just so much easier now that it's the Switch mechanic, because I just find the game more enjoyable.
Yeah, I mean 100%. So honestly, it is incredible, and more on that, if you think about it, and this is my personal experience, this pretty much has the mobile version embedded into it. Now what I mean by that is, you can see on the screen right now that Millie doing the Simon Says task, you have to toggle the L button. Now we are playing this so we can record on the Elgato, so of course we are watching it on the TV, but you can play this on, you know, kind of touchscreen. So you pretty much have the mobile game as part of the handheld deal. So when I was playing admin, if I was struggling to kind of rotate the left toggle, I could just use my finger and slide it across no problem like in the mobile. Again, the wire connecting task, you can do all that. Anything from, you know, expelling the garbage to rewiring different things, that can all be done with touchscreen. So honestly, you get a lot of bang for your buck with this, because for all the mobile game is free, the fact that you can enjoy the luxury of that versus clicking as well, it almost makes this perfect for the Nintendo Switch in that it is the embodiment of a hybrid. I feel that you very much get the PC version on when it's on the TV, and you get the mobile version when it's on handheld, which is absolutely phenomenal. Now, another thing that I can give this huge credit for is the fact that it isn't lazy. Now, for all I've raved about it being similar to the mobile version on handheld, in no way has it cut corners or is it lazy.
I'm going to agree with JB on this, because honestly, they've had to redo so much to make this work. Just hear how they've had to add in a mechanic so you can do this kind of using Joy-Cons without touchscreen, or without a mouse, so again, that's something different for Steam, but they've had to change so much to add in a different dynamic. Like here, okay, so normally you just click that and it'll change, but instead you have to kind of circle one of the Joy-Cons, and it's just a new and interesting dynamic that I must actually admit I'm enjoying.
And it just makes me feel so good that this is optimized for the Switch. Like, this is the best possible experience you can get as a Switch player. And I must say, that garbage task where you have to pull the lever down and all the garbage goes out of the ship, doing that by pushing the Joy-Con down while that rumble kicks in is so satisfying.
Oh my gosh, yes, like JB's saying, there's a lot of these things where it's vibrating and that sort of thing, so you do. For those players who normally play on mute because they're on Discord or whatever, this is adding a full dynamic to the game that you didn't have before.
And it just... I don't know why. I guess there's some people that don't really like Rumble, but I just think that in those situations it is satisfying, especially as you can just see what you're doing. Now, another thing that is positive within this list of positives is I have played at least 50 public lobbies by now. I've spent a lot of time trying to train myself up for this review, knowing it all, getting used to all the maps, and honestly I can say with full confidence that for all we've got reduced Wi-Fi in our current setup, I wasn't kicked off a lobby more than once for internet issues. It's that good, and it really is no surprise that Among Us won Best Multiplayer Game, because even on the Switch, which I guess Nintendo Online does get a bit of, backlash for being poor, I've had no problem personally on the Nintendo Switch playing on public lobbies, and it runs smoothly. It does run so smoothly. Like, I guess Millie spoke a bit briefly on, how it feels, but in terms of, movement and how it's, I guess, reacting to every time you press on the Joy-Con, how are you feeling?
I'm thinking admittedly there's a lot that I need to get used to, so then tasks disappeared and I didn't know how to get it back up. But this is the first time really I've played this, so it's kind of like, obviously when you play any new game you have to learn to do things, so I don't know, I'm personally really enjoying it, and I think they've brought all the tasks over really well.
100%, and every single one of them. I don't think any of them are awkward. Of course, if they are, we're gonna get back onto them. So, oh my god, there's just so many things that I can positively say about this, from no real mechanics being missing to it running incredibly smooth, and honestly just the fact that this is on here and that we can share it with you, because usually Nintendo has got very, very extreme criticism for a lack of third-party support. I remember with the Wii U, I love that to death, but the thing is that the third-party support, because it didn't sell very well, was quite limited. Of course there was, Call of Duty, there was games like that, but it's like, I didn't expect this game to ever be on the Switch, especially, and this is going to sound weird, but especially because it's so popular. It's almost like the developers knew that they didn't need this to be on the Switch. It's incredibly popular in mobile, which pretty much everyone has a smartphone at this point. It's on Steam, and if you're not a console gamer, you're a PC gamer. And I don't know, it's just one of those things where it almost seems unnecessary to the point where it is so positive that it's even out. because it didn't need to happen, but the fact that it is, the fact that we can share this game that we love, and naturally, with the community that, and obviously if you're watching this, 9 times out of 10 you're going to have a Nintendo Switch. So honestly, I think it's all good all around.
I do too. Now, like you were saying, maybe, you weren't expecting it to come over to the console. The only thing that I can think of that could be an advantage to the company is that you have to pay for this one, whereas on the phones you get it for free.
And I guess that will take me on to the first negative that I had to say. Now, this is nothing negative with the gameplay itself, hence why it's just a minor issue. But one thing that you get to do with the games is you get to add in, I guess, in-app purchases, which could translate to DLC on this. For example, Millie, you know that I'm always running around with that cute little blue dog.
Yeah.
And I've always got, weird hats on, like I recently just got the Santa hat. Now, there's no option to do that in this game from what I've seen. You can't buy pets, you can't buy different hats. That's completely absent from the game. So, because it's paid, I'm not too familiar with the Steam version. I'm not sure if because you have to pay for it, you get all those hats anyway and those pets anyway. But my experience with the mobile version is that because it's free, you have to pay for these things. And so I've bought, the dog, I've bought some pets, I've bought all that type of stuff. But you can't do that here, which is a bit disappointing and quite surprising, because it does seem like, if you go onto the eShop, you can just treat it like DLC, like, buy the pets bundle for, £1, buy the hats bundle for £1, and just that extra bit of customization would have gone, not a long way, but it would have made the game feel more complete compared to the other versions. So it's a bit odd that there's that exclusion there. Honestly, this is a fantastic port, but another issue that I had is, and this is the big one that I know people are going to be talking about, it's the chat functionality. Now, honestly, for the first 20 games, the chat function was miserable. And I don't just mean a minor inconvenience, I mean miserable. Now, this was primarily on public lobbies, so you guys can understand why. But it's literally to a point where you can report a body and it takes you so long to let people know.
The entire duration to type where it was.
Yeah. Now, they have added in like predictive text, I guess you can call it, or like quick messaging, but I didn't really find that much help. So picture it like this from the point of view of a crewmate. So say we've got Orange here, good old sus Orange. Orange walks into electrical and sees that someone's killed Brown. They press the report button, which is actually quite easy to access, but they press the report button and everyone is asking where. And Orange is staying silent. All it takes is one person to say Orange sus and you're out. And that's, I guess, typical for public lobbies, but it just gets to the point where there's public lobbies being public lobbies and there's just needless frustration just because you're either reduced to, toggling down on the Switch console to see what, letters you want, or tip-tapping and getting relatively nowhere. And that's the kind of worst thing about this. Now, I was ready to write this game off as virtually unplayable because of that. Because, you can do the tasks fine. The tasks are absolutely perfect. I don't think there's a bad task. But
I think I've found one that I'm finding particularly difficult.
Well, difficulty is one thing. Like Simon says, is difficult to me personally on the phone. But just the fact that typing, more or less the main part of the game, finding out who's sus, who's safe, the fact that that's so difficult is a major drawback to this version. And I must say, once I did get touching on the screen to type, once I got the hand of that, the gameplay was improved dramatically. Honestly, that's how I would play. I have yet to master using it on the Joy-Cons, the keyboard on the Joy-Cons, but touchscreen is fine. And it's even more fine on the Switch Lite, actually. It almost feels like if you were playing the game on an iPad. But if you do have a Switch Lite, I would recommend that that's the console that you play on versus the normal Switch, which I'd imagine if you're using your left hand or your right hand to hold that while you're typing, that's going to get really tedious really quickly. So if you do have a Switch Lite, that's the one that I do recommend. I've played it on the Switch and the Switch Lite, but like, I don't know, even at the best of times on mobile when you're typing in public lobbies, you've got very little chance of actually getting through to people. So imagine if your typing was reduced, and that's basically and unfortunately what we have until you master those controls. Like, Millie, you've had some issues, I guess, outside of Among Us with that typing mechanic, in Island Tours, how difficult that is.
It's always been a bit of an issue, typing within the Switch, be it if you want to post something to your Twitter or anything like that. It always takes quite an age really to type it all, and so having this where it's so heavily focused on that is a bit disappointing.
And some tasks can take a while to master. For all they're good, if you don't know what you're doing, they're frustrating. Like I mentioned Simon Says, and there's a weird thing with the Switch version that you can't just click left and the cursor turns left. You physically have to hold left and then press. So if you're in a rush, you can just quickly forget, toggle it to the left because that's the next in the sequence, press A, and you failed because it takes you back to the middle.
See, one way that they could, just going back to the typing there, JB, one thing that could work would be, if you could kind of do the Nintendo app where you could have voice chat with your friends when you're playing with them. Yeah,
and that's, I guess, see, that's the thing. I would say that would be a complete fix. But by that token, if you were speaking...
You'd have to only play with people that were playing on the Switch who were your friends.
In which case, typing wouldn't be an issue because they will know from, you can message them quickly saying, sorry, this is difficult to type, and you won't be rushed. You can reduce, you can upgrade, waiting time. So even if you did have that mechanic, it would pretty much be irrelevant because they would be your friends who you could easily just say, sorry, this is really difficult to type on this thing. Or you could, hop on Discord and voice that way. But from what I've heard, for your friends, Nintendo Online Chat works. And that's another thing that I can potentially see as a downside, but honestly, I don't think that's a problem for us personally. So, and this probably won't surprise you, but in order to play this game at all, pretty much, you have to have a Nintendo Online paid membership.
Yeah, to even access the game.
So, I don't know. I don't really have an issue with that because I feel that a lot of people that are in our interaction circle have already got online to visit their friend's island on Animal Crossing or to trade Pokemon. I don't know, it just seems like so much of Nintendo's things, mainline things, for all, people can criticize the online, it does use online functionality. But honestly, I don't know, I can imagine that if you don't have online it's frustrating. But then, I guess there's the mobile alternative. Phone, So, I don't really know. It's kind of bad, but then if you do a year-long membership, and this is about £3.50, it doesn't really break the bank unless you're trying to buy it as a bundle with other games like Animal Crossing or those games that are about £50, because then that'll get a bit pricey, to be honest. But a great thing to ask for Christmas, honestly. If you want to double up Nintendo Online with Among Us, I would actually recommend that, especially coming up to Christmas, because a lot of people don't want to go out to the shops, so I think it'd be a great thing to just go, oh my god, look, there's this new game, I can play it online with friends, and you can just redeem some Nintendo eShop points. That's actually a really good idea.
Brilliant idea.
So another thing that I kind of felt half disappointing and half not is Nintendo being Nintendo. They usually do a great job making things accessible for everyone, family friendly, all that kind of wholesome goodness. So one thing that isn't an option here is you can't uncensor the chat. So obviously if people are using profanities or expletives, that's all going to be starred out. So that's a huge positive, right? Yeah, of course, because no one wants their kids going online and hearing a bunch of effing and jeffing that they needn't. That's just, standard. However, I've actually had an issue with this. So I was in a match a few hours ago, and I got really frustrated because I went into admin and I think I found either white or dark green, something, one of those colours, and I reported the body, and they were like, you know, where are they? Where's the body? And I was typing in admin, and they censored the word admin. I typed admin again, censored. I typed admin in all caps, censored. Now, I don't know if that's a glitch or if that's the same for everyone, but I was typing in admin and it was just keep blocking it out. So they were just getting frustrated with me, saying, oh my gosh, why wouldn't you tell us where they are? Why are you being rude? Because from their point of view, they could be asking me, who just reported the body, where the body is, and then I just start swearing at them, almost like, oh, I didn't mean to self-report. Why is that happening? So that's just awful. That's horrible. No one wants to play that way, because that's just horrible, and that wasn't what I wanted at all. So of course I got voted out, which wouldn't be an issue anyway, because I'm used to getting voted out quite early on in the game. But just when
because orange is sus.
Well, just when I started typing in, the fact that it censors, you know, a location in the map, it's just crazy, and I don't know why that happens. It's honestly horrible. But I didn't really try that for all of them, you know, I didn't try, you know, typing in weapons or typing in cafeteria, so it could just be admin, but I feel like a lot of people do get crossed off in admin. Obviously, if electrical was censored, I feel like that would be even worse, because that's
the death room, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the kill zone. That's where you've got your vent, it's secluded, you can just quickly escape off into
security
and med bay, and that's coming from a well-experienced sus king,
the king of sus.
So I think that is all of the downsides. Honestly, there isn't a lot, and if there is stuff, it's not anything that's irreversible that can be fixed. The developers can uncensor the word admin, sorted. Nintendo Online, that was always going to be a factor. But honestly, I think this is a beautiful port to Nintendo Switch. Honestly, I think it's come at such a great time for us, and I cannot wait to expand this community with such a great multiplayer game. So thank you so much, Innersloth. Thank you, Among Us. Thank you, Nintendo. This is a fantastic game I never thought would be on the Switch. And there we have it. But in terms of final verdict, I'm not sure if we can give this a star rating. I'm sure we can try or give it a mark out of 10. If it was a mark out of 10, I am more than willing to say 8 out of 10. In terms of stars, it's a 4-star, 4.5 star. It's definitely right up there. What is your final verdict, Millie?
See, my final verdict would be that I enjoy the game. Among Us as a whole, I think it's like a 9 out of 10 game. I love it. Simple, but exactly what we needed at this point in terms of being able to kind of socialise when you can't meet up with people, that sort of thing. So yeah, it came at a great time. The Switch port, I guess I just need more time with it to know what I'm doing. Because I feel like that maybe affects the rating that I'll give it, just because I need more practice. I'd say the Switch kind of port maybe a 7, just because I think that the issue of typing is a bit too much to actually properly play the game. I mean, if I was playing this with my friends on Discord, I'd probably give it an 8, but in terms of playing a lobby, I think I'd actually drop it down to a 6.
Yeah, I mean, public lobbies are always going to be problematic, so I completely understand that. I'm giving it such a great score because I'm in love with the game on the Switch. I really am. Like, just taking it as the game on the Switch, I'm in love with it. But I'm not sitting here telling people that this is my new primary way to play. I think because it's new and it's just come out, it's what I'm playing at the moment.
Yeah.
But I think
There's things that need
a week, give it 2 weeks, and I'm jumping straight back on mobile, you know, because of that typing, because it's just easier, because I'm carrying my phone around with me all the time, in a way that I'm not carrying a Switch around with me all the time.
Not only that, but I think there's some tasks that predominantly are more difficult, like having to swipe the card and stuff. I'd say indisputably more difficult.
And when it is cross-platform, and this is kind of the negative positive, for all it's great that you can play with anyone, it also means that some people are going to have the easiest time in the world with some tasks, where you're just there on the Switch messing with
so it's going to be like, oh, it's definitely orange. Orange is sus because it doesn't take anyone that long to swipe at admin. When in fact it's like, yeah, it does, depending on which, way you're playing, which kind of device you play this on.
Unless that, like, I've seen so many
like, watch
memes.
this, guys. I'm gonna actually do this task now.
Whoa.
You have to kind of circle it, but then it halts it, and it's strange.
There's like a really funny meme about some of these things, like, admin task, but with Joy-Con drift. Oh my god. But yeah, I think though, and for all I've criticised it in the end, saying that it isn't my primary way to play, I'm not ruling it out. I think if I master typing on the Switch Lite, I honestly think it could be, because I have very poor eyesight. My eyesight is not good, so the larger screen is actually it's so easy on my eyes. I feel like I can read everything better. I feel like I'm straining my eyes a lot less. So the screen on the Switch Lite is so ideal for how I like to play games. So honestly, if I master typing on the Switch Lite, it's taking over as my primary way to play, even beyond my phone. It genuinely is. So yeah, this has been our very quick, I guess, well, not so quick, but this has been our first initial review of Among Us for the Nintendo Switch. If you do want to see more Among Us on the Nintendo Switch, any collabs, anything like that, or just any Nintendo Switch content in general, such as Animal Crossing, New Horizons, and much more, even Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, please like, comment, and subscribe.
JB and Millie.